Good morning. Good to be with you today. Good to be warm in here. Very thankful for that. All right, going to see if you're awake with me and alert and oriented. Going to have you complete the name of these famous bands. We're talking about harmony today, and I have my favorites, groups that sing some awesome harmony. Crosby, Stills, and Simon and Seals and right, the Indigo. Thank you. Anybody else out there have a favorite band with harmony? Anybody? Palmer, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. There you go. Reaching back. Black Hawk. Country band. Reverend John, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. Yes. 98 degrees? Oh, now we're talking. Anybody else? Lots of groups out there. Peter, Paul, and... Okay, we can go on. Sometimes it's the vocals that offer the obvious harmonies. But there's also harmonies all over. Instrumentation and arrangements, even percussion provides harmony. I'm not going to steal any more about this. We're going to have Jacob talk in a minute. But Romans 12 calls us to live in harmony. And this is not a call for us to be identical, because in fact we are different, right? So this isn't a call to pretend to be in harmony. It takes work to be in harmony, to strive in love amidst the diversity of personality and gifts, views and values. The key point here, earlier in the writing that Paul mentions, is our desire to discern what is God's will. Now, while at times that might be a specific question for you, like, what job should I do? What school should I go to? What should I do about these health concerns I have? What kind of friends should I have? What about spiritual growth opportunities? God, what do you want me to do? Those are personal questions. Last week and this week, we're talking a little bit more about how do we discern God's will in community, which actually gets a little harder then. And so Paul outlines for us a little bit about that. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be arrogant, but associate with those who are struggling. Do not claim to be wiser than you are. Do not repay anyone evil for evil, but take thought for what is noble in the sight of all. If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. It's one of my favorite scriptures right there. It's up to us to offer peace. We can't make people respond, but we can offer peace. So we make choices every day. We have these values given to us by Christ. We choose whether we go it alone. Sometimes we all struggle with, it's my way or the highway. Thank you very much. Right? Follow me. But it's harder to do that in community because it calls us to listen and to work with others. So in the book of Romans, it seems that the Apostle Paul seeks to help this community grow in harmony. Just to give you a little background, it's a very multicultural area that he is speaking to. Jewish and Roman converts to this Jesus movement trying to suddenly live together, to gather together in courtyards for worship, to follow the way of Christ, coming from diverse backgrounds, all across different orders and works and cultures and languages, quite different from each other. Does this sound familiar? The irony here is that all of these things, Paul is saying, if you want to create community, this is the way to do it. And it's not going to be perfect. It's going to take you intentionally practicing how to be harmonious. So we all have different gifts and traditions and experiences that we bring to the table. Our uniqueness is awesome, but it can be challenging for others. How do you live together? How do you work together in harmony? Well, I'm going to invite Jacob, our music director here, to come and talk about harmony from the musician's perspective. He's got his mic. He's ready to go. I'm just going to turn it over and see what happens.
Wow, nice, sick. Hello, everybody. As mentioned already, I'm Jacob, Director of Music Ministries and stuff here, okay? Welcome to West Side, once again, or perhaps for the first time. Yes, I have been called to talk about harmony. Now, what is harmony? Okay, so first off, I have to tell you, this is kind of an interesting question to pose to a conductor. I love being a conductor, but check this out. In the choir, there are this many composers. Raise your hands. Right, so my take will be different than their take, will be different than the next person's take. Pretty much everybody on earth who interacts with harmony in some way will have something different, personal to say about it. Okay. These composers are causing a ruckus, all right? So basically, like we've heard, harmony is used in the word harmony is used in many different contexts, many different places to mean many different things, in a secular and non-secular context. So harmony basically, when we're using it as people, means like living in agreement, everything is simpatico, we're all cool, perhaps even in a positivistic sense, where we're talking about we have good synergy with somebody else. Oh man, we really got good harmony, that type of thing. In a musical context, it's kind of complicated. In my library, there are bookshelves full of books about harmony and theory and et cetera, et cetera. So I'll give you the short version, okay? Very short. Harmony, you can think about it like this, is when you have more than one note happening at the same time. See, you're all now honorary musicians. If you didn't consider yourself that before, you are now, okay? You can go and tell someone you know what harmony is. You can quiz them. You know what harmony is? All right, I do. Okay? So there's different traditions. There are Western and non-Western traditions. We exist in the Western tradition, mainly in America. Okay? We engage with a lot of different traditions and things like that. But originally, things were just like melodies, right? In the Western tradition, it was just a melody, right? You would have one melody, and then perhaps things would get stacked on top. Okay? So we're going to go back and forth between me talking and us engaging in song together. Okay, so everybody, how many of you have seen the movie The Sound of Music? Talk about another piece of nostalgia. Okay, everybody repeat after me. Do, re, mi. No, you don't have to sing it. Say do, re, mi. Do, re, mi. Fa, sol, la. Fa, sol, la. Ti. Ti. Do. Do. You got that? Okay, now we'll say it. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. La. La. Ti. Ti. Do. Fantastic. Okay, you're going down the musician pipeline very nicely. Okay, now the choir is going to demonstrate for us, okay, what that sounds like, and then we're all going to sing it together. Okay, here's your first note, choir. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. All right, all together now. Okay, everybody go. Stretch your pipe out. Okay, makes sense. Okay, here's your first note. Do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Right, super cool, nice. Good job, give yourself a round of applause. Fantastic. You should all join the choir, okay? Nice. Okay, now, next things. In the Western tradition, there's a whole bunch of twists and turns and things like that. But the next thing that happens is, then people start to stack melodies, okay? You get one melody, and then you put another melody on top, and you know what happens? Incidentally, because harmony is more than one note at one time, you get... Oh, dude, nice. Good. Okay, so now, what we're going to do is we're going to sing that same thing. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And we're going to do it in what's called canon. Okay, how many of you know what that means? Okay, we're going to do it once, and then some other people are going to start after us, okay? And then eventually we're going to do the whole thing, okay? So what you got to do is the same thing you just did. Do, re, mi, fa, so, and something crazy will happen, I promise, okay? You gotta hold the last note though, okay? So, here's your first note. Our first note, okay, 3. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si. Hold it. Wow, let's do that one more time. Isn't that so cool? You see, there were instances of harmony going in together. You see that? You see that? Here you go. Here's your first note. Do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do. Wow, fantastic. Give yourself a round of applause. Wow, okay, now look. We're going to do that again. Now, this half of the room, you start right at the beginning. You go, do, re, and then now this half, then you come in when I go, do, re. Got it? You do the same thing, okay? The choir's already split up, so you got support over here, all right? Okay, let's do it. Here's your first note. You start, you guys go after, okay? Do, re, do, fa, sol, la, si, do. Nice! Okay, now switch. Now you first and you second, okay? Here we go. 3. Do, re, do, re, wow, fantastic. Give yourself yet another round of applause. Fantastic. Nice. Okay, next, moving on, we're going to just talk about different parts of harmony. In music, there's things, parts of a chord. How many of you have ever heard of a chord? Okay, nice, sick. Okay, very nice. So, first things first, we're going to sing that same thing that we just been singing, okay, all together one more time. Here's your first note. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Nice. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to add what we in the business like to call our bass note. And our bass section, okay? They're singing what's called, this is technical jargon, the root of the chord, okay? The root of the chord. They'll do it. They'll hold do the whole time, okay? Here we go. We're going to sing the same thing, us, okay? Here we go. First note. 3. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Nice. You see how we ended on the same note? So cool. Okay, next, we're going to add our tenors. Our tenor part. Wave tenors. They're definitely all awake. Good. Nice. Now they're going to go up to the part of the chord called the 5th. Right? That's do, re, mi, fa, sol, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. All together. Here's your note. 3. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Nice. And now the pièce de la résistance. Okay? We're going to add the 3rd of our chord. That makes the chord happy or sad. Okay? So that's with our altos. You see wave altos? I'll give them a wave. See, they're altos, okay? I'll do that one more time. Here's your note. 3, 4. Wow, that's harmony. Now we have a full chord. Oh my gosh, isn't that crazy? Give yourself another round of applause. Okay, so now that is just a couple ways that harmony can manifest. Next, we're going to hear the choir sing some stuff, and it's basically when you're singing and you're making music, you are working in, more often than not, a key signature, right? It's an area where you have your notes. What we were singing in, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, it was all the same key, right? And when you work in a key, you got different harmonies that come out from those notes. Like, that's 8 notes, 7 if you want to get specific, okay? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, repeated note, okay? And if you put them together in fun different ways, you get different chords, okay? And it gets you from home, somewhere different, and then back to home, okay? So, choir, let's hear what that next one is. This is in our music rehearsal, D, okay? Nice. That's just using the 1 chord, the do chord. All right. Next, we are going to incorporate our 5 chord, our sol chord. Okay, here's what that is. 3 and 4. Nice. And now we're going to fill out the chord even more with our altos. Once again, providing a 3rd. Okay, here we go. Here's your note. 3 and 4. Nice. Now, give the choir a round of applause if you will. Oh my gosh. You hear that? So pretty singing. You hear that? Oh my gosh. I can hardly believe it sometimes. Okay, now check it out. In music, sometimes we have notes that are not in the key, okay? When you have notes in the key, it's called something, this is jargon, diatonic, okay? It's regular. And then when they're out of the key, you get notes called chromatic, okay? Irregular, you know? In some instances, straight up strange, all right? But they can be so beautiful when you include them, okay? So check this out. Here's a couple. Now look, in our, nice, sick. In our B flat major, we have these notes, which we've sung 1,000,000 times now. Right? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. But what if we add another note? Right? Let's see. So this is regular. Now look at what happens if I turn this note into this note. God, your hearts are going to break. Wow. And given some more context, check this out. Right, see, and that's not even the extent. Let's see, what if we get really crazy with this? All right? Let's see, I'll bring it up here a little bit. Wow. And look at that. It just gets prettier and prettier when you include other notes. You see? Wow. Look at that. So, harmony is one of those things that is very flexible, very fluid. There are many, many different expressions of harmony, right? And given the right context, given the right appreciation, every single note can be beautiful in any key, right? Oh, such a beautiful thing. Okay, here are some historic type of atmospheres, just to show you how creative people have been throughout time, okay? These are some what's called modes. These are like key signatures for Gregorian chant, all right? If you didn't know, I do a lot of Gregorian chant when I'm not around here, okay? So this is rehearsal E, everybody. This is mode 3. There are 8 modes in Gregorian chant. They're like key signatures, but weirder, okay? And then there's a 9th secret one if you're in the know, okay? So here's your first note. Right, you hear that? It creates a very specific atmosphere. It's used in some of the most dramatic and powerful instances throughout like the Christian year, the Christian calendar, you know. Let's hear that one more time and listen to the very end where you have mi and fa right next to each other. Okay, here's your first note. 3. and then a unison at the end when everyone's singing the same note, you see? Okay, now, the next example is a super widespread kind of mode. This is mode 1. All right? Now, here's what that sounds like. 3, 4. Now that's a little bit more familiar of an atmosphere, but you feel it's a little bit different. It's not quite as, some might say, menacing. Some might say penitential. Okay? It's like when you hear Gregorian chant or something, or you hear it in some movie, Monty Python, perhaps. This is maybe what you imagine, all right? Let's do that one more time. 3 and 4. Very nice, very nice. Okay, yeah, so those are a little bit about, those are little specific examples of harmony and how they manifest in different places. Ultimately, we went from a time where we were singing individual melodies that became incidental harmonies when you stacked them like this, you see? And then nowadays, we live in a world where you go harmony first, and then you fit a melody on top, which is also cool. Right? But it's different, and it's reversed in a way. Now, how many of you in the house are physicians? Any physicians in the house? Okay, cool. Any of you who study physics? Hey, we got some physics heads in the house. Nice, cool. Now, one of the coolest, most amazing things about harmony is engaging with a little bit of literalism. Okay, so. When we're singing, of course, we're singing our own notes, right? That's a given, right? We're making this thing that's called music, right? It sounds nice, hopefully, right? We're singing this stuff. We got harmonies, we have melodies, we have rhythms, we have all the stuff, right? But what is actually literally happening? You're making the air around you buzz, right? When you sing a note, you're making the air in front of you literally vibrate. You see? In front of you, around you, all this stuff, right? You're sending little signals throughout the universe, if you will, right? And when we're singing in harmony, we're all sending our different little signals, and they're all interacting. And when we sing a hymn, we sing anything together, group singing, whatever space we're in, the air buzzes. Right? I invite you to think about that when we sing any of the hymns that we sing in here. Just think about it and just try to feel the air around you. Just fill up with that sound. And it's so beautiful because we all have these individual voices. Nobody's voice is going to be like yours because we're all built like ourselves, right? I don't look like Abigail. I don't look like Pastor Adam, all right? Miles and I share a resemblance, okay? We're both 6 feet tall, okay? But, our voices sound totally different. Our necks are different shapes. Everybody up here sounds different. But when we come together and we sing in harmony, we're making the air buzz together. And it's so beautiful, and it's amazing. And any note and any voice can fit together in that spectrum. And so, ultimately, it comes back around to the common use of the word harmony, where we're simpatico, working in synergy. We're all just going through the universe together. All right? So, give yourselves a round of applause, you newly minted musicians. Okay? Thank you very much. That's my time, everybody. Okay?
You see why, you probably don't know this, but I call him the professor. Love it. Really wanted to dive into that because I think as you've just heard, believe that music is a great example of what's happening in our lives. We all have these individual voices. We're trying to listen to the melody of Christ and harmonize with him. And I think another word I'd like to throw in there, Jacob, would be dissonance. I heard a little bit of that on your piano there. Sometimes there's off things that happen that are like, oh, it doesn't quite feel like it, it's a little uncomfortable, but it represents the life that's full of joy and sorrow, good times and tough times. Also, I don't agree with this person, but if I can love them, this cord continues to carry on. And so, really, music is a great example of what it means for us as followers of Christ to listen to each other. Listen to each other. Each person needs to be heard in order for the harmony to carry forward. I have a great example of this. It's a 40-second video of the power of music and how it can be used in a sense of loving on people, being God's voice out there in a nonviolent way in these difficult times. Pastor Sam and I have been passing around this video. It's folks singing in Minneapolis, and it's a very beautiful moment of them trying to kind of be a vessel of love and the Spirit of God in a total time of disagreement as to what's happening in that area. So just if you could play that, Mandy, for us. It just repeats. Thanks, Mandy. It chokes me up every time I watch it, but I was talking to Shona, the director of the Alpha House, the other day, and we were saying, what if we just sang? And now it's happening. Sometimes things are out there that you'll say and you'll think and you wish, and then suddenly the next day somebody else is doing it. Sometimes there's a harmony happening unbeknownst to us. You have an idea, and then suddenly you see it's happening. There's a synchronicity in this world that I believe sometimes we get shocked by it. And we think, oh, I thought about that. I can't believe they're thinking that. And that's part of that harmony, that if you're in tune with the Spirit, even in your work, in your school, that's God working through us. This desire for harmony here on earth. But if you're listening, you'll get to be a part of it. And that was just a beautiful example. Of course, all of the words that Jacob said in this choir, the music brings us that peace sometimes that we're missing in our life. It's a lot of the reasons that we show up here. So my final word today is, this is kind of like music. I used to listen to a lot of music that I don't listen to anymore, right? I've been through a lot of phases of music that I've liked, a lot of bands, a lot of concerts. Some of it I'm like, oh, I can't believe I like that. But let's not reject all of our experiences, because it informs who we are. There's all kinds of churches out there with different thoughts and views, and I've been a part of different movements of God. And even though some of them, I may not agree with, those have informed who I am. And it's important for us to continue to listen to each other's stories and our own story, and be open to the past that everyone brings to the table. And in closing, I know a friend of mine who died on the operating table, and then he came back. He was dead for about 7 minutes, and they revived him. And he said when he was gone, he heard the most beautiful, harmonious sound he's ever heard in his life. And that's the one thing he brought back with him. And I believe that that is kind of what God is singing to us constantly. And if we want to listen to the words in the scriptures, to each other's stories, to what's happening in the world, we will be in harmony with what God is trying to do through us. And that harmony comes through us, and you get those moments where you get choked up and you feel it. You feel that harmony for a moment, and it's a taste of heaven. Amen.